Hi, welcome to Me Mediumship. Tonight we're going to talk about the purpose of what we do. Why do we do readings? Why do we talk about spiritual things? What is the purpose of all that? Obviously, there are personal reasons why we do it. It's maybe something that we've always been able to do naturally. It's always been within us to actually do. It feels right for us, it sits right for us, and we always feel that maybe that was our life's purpose, and it's a job that we love and enjoy doing, and there's all sorts of personal reasons why we do what we do. But I'd like to look really at the bigger picture, and I think, gone are the days where mediumship was sort of carried out in the back parlour, with a few neighbours coming round, a glass of sherry and what have you. And yes, those days are gone. I do hear some wonderful stories of the seances, some of the circles, the things that happened in these circles, in the back parlours in the old days. I've heard some wonderful things. Obviously, I wasn't there, so I can't clarify none of that, but they do come from very reliable sources, from people that I do wholeheartedly trust in what they say. And I think what we miss out on now is probably there are certain elements of that we miss out on, especially on the materialization side of things, the direct voice side of things. We miss out on all that nowadays. And maybe it's because our ability is not as good as it was in those days. I'm not really sure on that. Maybe, I think mediumship had more of a special element to it in those days. Now it's out in the media. There's all sorts of people practicing mediumship. It's on telly most nights, or you can go on YouTube. You can go on all sorts of things and watch mediumship taking place. But in those days, maybe it was a little bit more sacred then. Maybe, maybe spirit felt more at ease. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why we don't get so much of that, the really good trance mediumship, like I said, the direct voice mediumship, the materialization we don't really seem to hear of anymore. So it is a sad element that this has happened, but hopefully, we never know, fingers crossed, that may change. So what's the purpose behind what we do? And obviously for the sitter, the purpose is to give closure, to let them know that their loved one is at peace, that their loved one still exists, if you like, that their life is just simply somewhere else. And it does bring a lot of closure for them. And I think that's the main purpose, I guess, for the reason why we give a reading to a sitter. But what about the even bigger picture? So if we look at the reasoning behind what we do, I think firstly we need to look at the fact that obviously mediumship is not be all and end all of everything. We are not, we're not going to change the world overnight. That's not going to happen. But I think there is an element of what we do that does help change things. And I think it basically, when we give a good, accurate message, a good piece of evidence, then I believe that piece of evidence alone not only brings that peace and closure that I was talking of, but it also lights a spark within a soul. So we all have a soul, obviously. And obviously the more blinkered we are, the more that soul gets buried within us. And we tend to live more through the mind than the heart. So all the good things in life sometimes, or within a soul, can just get buried. And we live day by day, plodding on, going to work, paying the bills, and that's just about all our life consists of sometimes, which obviously isn't a good thing. So I think with mediumship, if we give that good piece of evidence, then if we could just light that spark within a soul, So it has a bit of freedom, so it starts to emanate itself through a person. And I believe by giving that piece of evidence, it makes people think there must be something beyond this. I've just heard this piece of evidence that nobody else knew, only me. Or even better, sometimes we give evidence that the sitter has to go and search for, to find the answer to, because they don't know themselves. That's even better evidence, because if they have to go and search for it, ask another family member, or do a bit of research through the family tree, and they find the evidence to be true, then that is even more proof to them, to the soul within them, that life does go on. So if we can light that spark in everyone that we sit before, every demonstration we give, then surely all we can do is make the world a better place. Because, that spark is missing. We know that spark is missing. The world is not a nice place. It's not a nice place to be, with the wars that we have, the famine, the droughts, all sorts of nasty things happen and occur. And obviously these things will go on happening and occurring unless somebody somewhere makes a stand. And it's very difficult. Now, there are many people who protest against war. There are many people who try and end famine, who try and get water to some of the drought-stricken countries. There are many people who work hard at that. But why hasn't it all ended? Why isn't the world getting better as we do that? I guess in some cases it possibly is. We are making a difference. But I think our job, which is no different than the fundraiser trying to get money to get water to villages out in Africa and places like that. So what we're doing is hardly any different in a sense, because we are just trying to make people aware. We are trying to make people aware that we are responsible for one another. We are all one big family. We are all part of that one source. So these people that are having to live through war, the families, the children that must be in total fear, it's very difficult for us to even try and understand how they feel, because for the majority of us, we've never had to go through that. So it's very difficult for us to even make a start on something we don't really truly understand. But I think as mediums, as light workers, we can make a difference by saying, hang on, this, what you're doing with this war, if you like, is wrong. Because as spiritual beings, we should not be acting in this way. And the only way that we, as mediums, can prove that we are spiritual beings is to prove that life goes on. And the only way that we can prove that life goes on is by making that communication with the other side. And it has to be good. It has to be accurate. That evidence must be absolutely spot on. Because the way the human mind works is, if it can find another reason, another avenue as to how you did that, how you got that piece of evidence, they would much rather believe that than believe the fact that you got it from spirit, because it's easier to apprehend, it's easier to understand. So we have to be good, we have to be accurate, hence all that sitting you have to do that I keep harping on about. So it's important then that we understand we are not the be-all and end-all of everything, okay? We do not walk on water, or we are not holier than thou. We are experiencing the same as anybody else. We are experiencing this side of life. So we have our role to play, and it's important we get it right. Because in 50 years' time, if things do not get better, If we do not enhance what we are doing within ourselves, then obviously we are failing. We are failing the gift, if you like, of what we have. And it's like any other trade. There will be people out there for other reasons doing this. But we have to make sure that we are doing it for the right reason. If we're doing it for the right reason, then the help is there for us. Spirit will make sure we get the help we need to get these messages across and to prove and give evidence of life after death. So some people might say, well, what difference does it make if we believe in life after death or not? Makes no difference to my life. I shall live my life exactly the same way. Makes no difference. But I think it does make a difference in a sense, because the way people see life now, that there is no reason to have any fear of it. There's no consequence. So in other words, it doesn't matter how I act, what I do throughout this life, it makes no difference. I'll be dead and gone. That'll be the end of it. We need to prove it will not be the end of it. You will answer for everything that you have done throughout your life. And many of you have heard the expression, I'm sure you all have, about life just flying before your eyes, if you like. People said, oh, my life flew before my eyes, when they've been in near-death experiences, when they've actually experienced near death. They say it's like their life just flew before them. And in a way, when we do truly pass, we will have our lives played before us, because we will need to understand how what we did, the way we acted, affected others. We will need to feel the pain that we inflict on other people, and you do feel the pain that you inflict on other people. There will be no getting away with it. The only way you will ever understand what you did is to experience it yourself. So what might be water off a duck's back to you may be very painful to someone else. And how are you going to learn that lesson? Well, it's quite simple, really. You will experience that pain that the other person felt. So yes, our lives will pass before us when we pass to spirit, because we will be accountable for what we have done, because that is the only way we will learn that lesson. And that is the reasoning why we're here. We are here to learn. You've heard it a million times, the earth is the school, and it is. Okay, it's a tough lesson. It's a tough classroom. But the only way we will grow spiritually is to understand what our actions do to others. That is how we will learn. So if we can prove that is the case, then maybe before somebody goes starting wars, maybe before somebody turns their back on countries that are experiencing famine or drought, the only way that they will ever act on those things is to understand how that feels to be in that situation. And if some of the world leaders could actually sense or feel the fear within a child when it hears those aeroplanes coming over, when it hears machine gun shots in the distance, when a child hears that, the only way world leaders will ever act and stop doing these things is to experience that fear. So as mediums, we're a long, long way down the line, I know. But if we start to prove that this consequence of action will take place. If we start to prove simply by giving evidence of survival, by giving messages from spirit, then in our own little way, we can start to change the world. It won't happen in my lifetime, and probably won't happen in hundreds of years, but fingers crossed one day it will happen. So that is how I see the purpose behind what we do. So please like and subscribe to my channel. It really does help me a lot. And I hope to speak to you again soon. And I'm still working, people have asked, I'm still working on the Patreon to give some tuition, if you like, just some guidance on mediumship, the beginnings for you, what to do, not to do, what to avoid, and food tips just to help the newbies along. And I've also put some bits on for the more experienced mediums as well. And not long now to go, and I'll start doing some lives as time comes my way, so I can do them, and I will be doing some live readings for you all as well. So if you're interested in any of the Patreon things, then please just let me know. Just leave a comment below, and I'll get in touch with you all once I've got it all set up in place, and it should not be long now, so that's great. So thanks for listening. I hope I've helped a bit anyway, and take care. Bye for now.